for joining us today on Coastal and Progressive Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio. Today we will be speaking with Tyler, who is from the new Diversity and Inclusion Group, more commonly called D&I. Tyler is the new Outreach Vice President and will share his plans in diversity and inclusion, where we can expect to find him doing outreach work. He will work with the LGBTQ plus young adults and multiple minorities at institutions of higher learning, religious groups, social justice organizations, and other NGOs, explaining D&I support services, the multiple subgroups that will connect via Zoom and, after COVID-19, in more in-person groups, probably. And the Zoom groups, I want to stress, too, will be, when they first form here, will probably be from across the United States and country, but the in-person, obviously, will be more for the area of South Central Florida. Okay, Tyler, so good to have you back again, and why don't we pick up where we left off last week, and that was you telling you about some of the places that you will be going into to work and to do outreach work, and some of the groups that will be doing outreach work too, and so forth, so that people who are tuning in for the first time will understand what this is about.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. Good to be with you. So I will sort of recap what we talked about in the last session. So diversity inclusion, what it will mainly cover, as I go through the list here again, I will give a brief summary. Basically, who we are. Once a group is developed, we are mainly for the communities of Black, Hispanic, Asian, Middle East, multiple regions, LGBTQ plus veterans, victims of religious cult, persecution, victims of abuse and bullying, including in-school bullying and out of school, and chances of a second life. What we do, or what we will be doing and achieving, once a group would be established, young adult services providing social outlets, mostly ages ranging from 18 to 30. Support groups both via Zoom and in person as COVID-19. So if a group were to form and it does become more successful, the group would first start off in a Zoom setting, and then would evolve into more in person as the pandemic starts to recede, and that's important to mention. And also life coaching and support. Mainly, what is that? As I mentioned last session with the show, I had volunteered previously for PFLAG as a youth and adult facilitator back in Virginia, where I used to live, and basically, what we did there won't be the same as what our group will hopefully do, but we will also offer support to the people in the communities I just listed that may be dealing with some impacts that they may have had in their life. It could be of any range of issues, just providing support and life coaching and mentoring as well, and also advice for PFLAG. When I had some people ask me advice and kind of an understanding of what certain things are when it pertains, of course, with PFLAG, the LGBTQ community, I was able to provide clear and straightforward answers that really help people stay united with their families and also help them carry on. Also, I wanted to go through, I will be speaking with some NGOs in the area, different types of groups that really focus on out of above 18 or about 18 to above 18 people that have been out of a foster care system, and they need some housing support and a bridge and a portal to get there in a more clear and better way in terms of providing housing support services and volunteering when that volunteering may arise. And as I mentioned earlier, if a group were to form, it would be on Zoom first, then more in person, and would likely be once or twice a month. That's depending on anything from volunteering, the current status of the pandemic, which is very unknown at this time. It still is very unknown, and trying to find schedules that work both for myself and for the people who would be interested in joining. Then again, 18 to 30 would be that main age group of the communities that I just outlined above. Let's say go through the list here. And why is this important? I will kind of go over what I went through the last session again, because it's very important. Why is this so vital and important? Not just because the pandemic has struck, but previously, even before the pandemic, there's just really is a lack of organizations and groups like listed here, and like what Dee and I hope will become in the future. But just to go over some unfortunate statistics, suicide is unfortunately up in the country right now because of COVID-19. And even before COVID, there was certainly very bad trends that I will go over some of the statistical information here. And this is actually from the National Vital Statistics Report, CDC, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. That basically just goes over some of the information obtaining to, I will go over some states here. So from the years of 2000 to about 2018, and again, pre-COVID, Maryland saw a 21.7% increase in suicide, typically among the ages of young adults and youth, but not excluding your elderly population as well. New Hampshire saw the highest amount of suicide increase of a staggering 110%. Florida, where I am located and reside, 29.2%, and the U.S. average 47.1%. And a little important note here: the island of Hawaii reported 46.2% increase as well in between those years, and largely in the population we just discussed. But it's just very important because I think it's, and with the pandemic that has struck, those very unfortunately, those percentage numbers will be on the rise. And they already are now. I just wasn't able to get fresh information and data on that. But mainly what I'd be helping to achieve here is really just pulling a group of people together, mainly from your higher learning institutions and or workplaces who you may be listening to now. You may be interested or know someone who might be interested. That's generally what I would be trying to achieve. And if it turns out it's not so much as a success in terms of putting groups together, I will continue to fight and provide certain volunteering throughout the area that I would be volunteering opportunities that I would be invested in and would help in any way possible, because I understand sometimes, right now people are still very hesitant to join certain organizations or groups because of the coronavirus that is still with us. So my work would continue even if a group weren't to form, which I'm trying to right now get established. But I think that pretty much goes over everything that, and mainly what we summarized in our last session. So I believe that is everything for now.
Great. Listen, let's go through some of these subgroups here and explain the importance of them involved. Yeah. As you probably know, and because I know you're new to Florida, and I'm not all that. I've not been in Florida all that long too. But when I came here, I was literally shocked by some of the housing stuff that goes on here, that rules and stuff that are prohibited in other parts of the country that are still on the books here in Florida, and which creates problems for people. The trauma. I'll just give you some examples here that we know about and that we've received some outreach from before, from other groups wanting us to know if they had resources. And that is young people. I'm speaking here. First, I'm going to speak of separate groups here. I'm speaking first of African Americans and Hispanics or Asians who have been discriminated in housing here. And these are often student types. These are young students who tried to get housing and then were denied housing only because of the color of their skin or their ethnic background. And then, to make matters even more worse on top of that is, God forbid they'd be LGBTQ plus or something. They cannot get, because it's legal in Manatee County where we're located, physically located, and in parts of Sarasota as well, that it is possible to discriminate based on someone's sexual orientation yet, and it's still legal. Now, parts of Sarasota still they have a rule in place that's supposed to prohibit this, but now they're trying to introduce bills in the state legislature in Florida to override county choices in this thing to not discriminate, and so consequently, when we started organizing our housing support service here a number of years ago, we've came across a number of people that needed housing support, and many of these people are coming solely because of their ethnic background or because of their sexual orientation or so forth. They're being discriminated against, and that's why what the services that you're offering here to bring the groups together is so important. They will benefit from these services, but as we all know, it will take time especially because of COVID, we have such an awful task ahead of us here, trying to get people to feel safe enough to leave their homes or something, or their shelters where they're at. And that's why the foster care situation is such a horrible mess right now, because these young people that are aging out of foster care, many of them have no place to go then, and they are literally left in a lurch. And the other housing support services here do not have adequate housing for them, and because they're not geared to handle that, and they often need to be put with 2 or 3 people just to make enough so they'll have enough income coming in, and plus they're not employed, and the state's not paying unemployment insurance, makes matter even worse. So we have all across the country, we have people threatening to be forced out because the eviction order just ended. So it is serious. It's a very serious situation, and the young people that are being impacted, especially the young people, are one of the hardest hit groups, these minority groups that are being impacted by this. And no wonder, like you discussed earlier in your earlier segment, why do we have such high suicide rates? Well, that's just part of the reason why we do, because people just give up. They feel hopeless, and they feel like they have no one to turn to, and that's why the counseling service is so important. I'll put a plug in here for also youth, which we will be working with here in the near future as we move forward. They have youth that are 18, well, this is young adults as well, that go to 18 to 24. And so some of those people that they know of in the past that have requested housing support, they will be referring over to us, and also probably into the support groups, so they can have social functions that they can feel have a safe group of people they can feel they can do things with. And I'm just trying to, Tyler, reemphasize to our listeners how important the work that you're doing is, and how it could benefit so many different people. And I'll let you add on to this too, because
Absolutely.
I know you have been out there meeting with people and trying to meet with people, and it will be a slow process. We already know this because of COVID especially, and now on top of that, we have people's natural tendency to want to know about the group or what the group is going to be about and so forth like that, and feel safe and everything. So it'll take some education. I discussed this partly with the conference call I had with the head of the also youth program, and also we're going to be talking with soon. I think we're going to be setting up a conference call with the state organization here for diversity as well, and we've got to get the people who will be on the call schedule synced up, and once we do that, we'll be having a conference call with them to discuss their plans to work with us and how we can work together, because they in turn, each of these groups have their own people, and their own people that came through their groups and so forth, and each one will bring people together, and each one can provide certain services and other things that are available that they may have access to more easier than some of the other subgroups do. So anyway, that's kind of long-winded, but I hope I help explain some more to your listeners and add on to what you already said there. If you can, the Zoom meetings that you suggested, we can probably get resources available from several